We can't fuck up the audio this week. Surely not.
Third time in a row it would be if we fucked up the audio today.
That would be diabolical. We can't do that to our listeners. To our avid listeners.
We have got
What's
a good
this
amount
on
of
your trackies?
What?
You got a load of shit on your trackies. What's this? Do you not care about our listeners?
Mate, don't say that.
You can't even put the effort in to put on clean clothes. To be fair, you've got a trim and I look like a homeless man currently.
That is awful.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'll get it done next week for the podcast. I do apologise, guys. I look like a homeless man.
Homeless, jobless.
Hey, come on. That's not fair.
No muscle.
No muscle. Gonna lose. I'm just an L. I'm a walking L.
We can't start until I've cracked myself out on this coffee.
Common Laurence L. Why don't we just start now? You don't need to crack yourself out.
I do, mate.
Why?
So people think I'm clever.
People already know that you're clever. You don't need to get cracked out to drop knowledge. I feel like this is a massive placebo thing that's going on.
No, it makes my mental clarity better.
And then it also makes you shit yourself. It's alright, it's normal.
Okay then.
Okay then. Don't say it again. Here we go.
I don't say that.
Here we go.
When did I say that? In the first episode?
Yeah. Did you not say it in the second one as well?
No.
I thought you said it in the second one.
Alright. No waffling today.
10-minute podcast.
Yep. 10 minute, get the reels done.
Yeah.
And we're out of there.
Did you hear HL when he said that yesterday? That's all we do it for, guys. Just the reels.
No, we care a lot about our listeners.
I actually really enjoy doing this. I can't lie.
I do too.
It's good.
It's good fun.
We were proper shitting ourselves before about it. Well, I don't know about shitting ourselves. Really. I was. I'd already done a podcast before, but I was slightly intoxicated, so it doesn't really count.
Really?
Yeah, I was a bit drunk because I was really nervous, and I was like, right, why don't we do it before, like after a night out?
Why the fuck did Ollie invite you on a podcast?
I don't know, because...
Just this mid guy.
Hang on. Well, it was really funny because the podcast was about like, what did he say? It was like achieving excellence or something. It was something about excellence. And to be fair to me, I did say like, why are you getting me on the podcast about this?
The least excellent person ever.
That's not true. Come on. No. I've got a lot of accolades going for me.
Good physique.
Yeah, it ends there.
That's it.
Yeah, ends there.
That's it. Immaculate riz.
No, I've got a girlfriend. Got in trouble last week, so
yeah.
I've got a girlfriend, by the way.
Yeah, we're very sorry to our girlfriends out there.
Our girlfriends? Who's your girlfriend?
Don't need to know, mate. You don't need to know.
Oh, are you working in the shadows with your girlfriend?
You work in the shadows. Coming soon. Okay, we'll get started. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Limitless Physique podcast. We are back in the studio today.
The studio. We travelled here.
Yep, travelled here all the way from our bedrooms to the living room. But we're filming on a Saturday today, so we have got to train later, which should be interesting. We usually have this on a rest day, so we can take all day doing it, basically, and editing it.
Yeah, but to be fair, this one's going to be a bit shorter, so I don't think it'll affect us.
We're going to try and not ramble in this podcast, because in the last one, we went off tangent so many times.
Thing is, though, I don't think going off tangent and rambling is a bad thing.
No, but we were going off tangents on tangents.
Yeah, I still don't think that's a bad thing though, because that's what a podcast should be. It's just a chat. It's just a conversation. I think we just need to stay wary of the time.
Yeah, we'll try and keep it between an hour and hour 15.
Yeah, and then
that's a good amount of time.
And then we're never short for questions because we can just answer the questions that we didn't get around to.
Yeah, I put out a question box early on in the week and got about 3 questions. So then I begged it and put another one out and I got about 20 questions. So now we got way too many questions.
Oh, Christ.
So we won't put one out next week.
3 questions is good because I think I got 4 this week. So
I think usually we get through about 5 each.
Yeah. What,
And
5? Really?
Yeah, we do. If you think about how many reels we make off it,
Is that actually 5?
it must be about 5 questions each. But remember, half of them are from Harrison and they're fucking delinquent questions.
Yeah. I got 7 from Harrison this week, and they are delinquent. Completely.
My new job mate, Harrison.
Yeah. Congratulations. Ryan's got a job.
I've got a job.
And he's probably starting before me.
I'm going to start for you. Started looking for a job for a week. Laurence has been looking for a job for months. Secured it within a week.
Not months, a year. Like literally a whole year. I'm not even kidding.
Common Ryan W that. Common Laurence L.
Yeah, diabolically common Laurence L.
Have you got much to talk about this week?
Literally nothing. I've done nothing.
Deload all week. You deloaded for the start of the week, and then I let you back in the gym. I let him off his leash.
Let me out the cage.
Yeah.
Ryan actually locked me in the flat because I was just so eager to train. No, I'll try and give a brief overview of what I've done this week, but it's gonna be quite short. Shall I give it a go? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, as I've just said, I've been pretty much deloading, so I've taken a whole week off the gym.
You took 4 days off.
Was it only 4 days?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Oh my God, it felt like a whole week. Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay, so I've taken 4 days off. No.
It was 4 days.
Is it actually 4 days?
Last week.
It feels like a week. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you're right though. Oh my God. Yeah. So I've taken 4 whole days off the gym. Felt like a month. I absolutely hate deloading. It's like the worst part about bodybuilding in my opinion, because I basically just don't get to do what I pretty much wake up for every day. So yeah, it was pretty boring. I tried to keep myself productive by, like making reels, trying to make content. What else have I been doing? Getting my steps in, but really stretching. Yeah. Well, the whole reason that we took the deload in the first place was because of my lower back injury, as I spoke about on the last podcast. I won't go into that. I'll give an update on that, I guess. It's okay. It feels a lot better, and I can't really feel it when I walk anymore. And when I bend over to pick up things, it's sound. So that's good. However, I've not tried anything lift wise where I'm say RDLing or squatting or leg pressing with a significant amount of load. On the Wednesday deload session when I went in for the first time, I did try and do a leg press and a squat without any load, and it felt fine. So I guess that's a good sign moving forward. So on Tuesday, I'm probably going to go back to training legs, full volume. Obviously, going into it a bit weary. If things are off, I probably will just to be honest, if it continues to be an issue, I'll probably look at doing more high rep work just until it recovers, because I think
possibly replace the volume from those lower back loading sets to the leg extension.
Yeah, definitely.
Could easily get away with 3 sets on a leg extension.
Yeah, or potentially switch out a leg press movement swap in a leg press movement that doesn't compromise my lower back as much, because my ankle mobility and hip flexor mobility is so bad. I have to go into slight hip what?
No, you just have a slight bit of lower back rounding at the bottom.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
I could have just said that. Yeah, I have some slight lower back rounding at the bottom of a leg press, which feels safe when my
that's
lower
not how
back...
you injured it. It's just if now doing that on a leg press.
Yeah,
because you've already got injured. It wouldn't be a good idea.
People are going to think that's how I injured it, which is
you
really
injured
frustrating.
on the hack.
Yeah, I injured it on the hack. Yeah, that wasn't how I injured it, but now because I have injured it, it feels awful when I do that. So potentially switching out a leg movement where I can get more knee flexion without doing that.
Probably just go back to the Atlantis pivot.
Yeah, I probably will, to be fair.
Or Arsenal, 45 degree.
I could try it again, although I couldn't really get amazing depth on it. I'll try it again and really try and play around with the settings and see which is best. But Yeah, literally. Apart from that, there really isn't that much to talk about. I've literally just taken the whole week off, and it's been
Back in at D volume now though, so
yeah. Which, to be honest, when I went in yesterday, it was still nice to train, but I never really enjoyed like devolume sessions, and I always feel a bit crap during them because we found that I like get massively stimulated when I take like a stim pre.
it
Like
massively affects performance for
yeah,
Laurence.
yeah, 100%. Like it's a massive difference. It could just be placebo, but honestly,
Even if it is placebo, it's still an effect.
yeah, but I genuinely don't think it is. Like loads feel so much different. Even a back off set.
Yeah.
Like I dropped numbers on my back offs when I shouldn't really be dropping numbers because
You haven't done the top set.
exactly, yeah, I'm not pre-fatigued going into them. But yeah, I just like everything feels so heavy and I don't feel like on it. And I think one of the reasons that that's the case as well is because I don't go into the sessions with like overly like hyped music. I don't like really hype myself up before lifts. I stay relatively relaxed, all for the purpose of recovery. But then that takes away from the the sting and quality of the session. But it's
We found that the D volume is needed for you though, don't we? Because the approach we take for Laurence deloading is either 4 days off and a few D volume sessions like we've done now.
yeah.
That's if you really need to deload like he did this time with the injury. So we're seeing a lot of trainer fatigue creep up and he's basically needs a deload desperately. Then we'll do that approach. Yeah. And if you're like we might need a deload, we might not, we'll just do a full week of D volume sessions.
Yeah. Sure.
But if we just did the deload, what we found before was that you went in so desensitized to the load that when you went back in it was just
awful.
battering you.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I much prefer the deload and then devolume, even though it takes longer to like get back into it, which is obviously like
It's just a more sensible way of doing things.
yeah, it's way more sensible and it makes way more sense, and obviously it works for me because initially when we went back into doing like full volume straight away after a deload, I was just so unused to the load that I was doing, and I was like, my body was like, whoa, like what's this? But yeah, I've got, just to give you a little update on where I am in terms of like prep. I'm 8 weeks away from prep now.
So you've got one mesocycle left. So I think it's 6 weeks. And then what we're going to do to drop off all training fatigue before the start of prep is do the exact same approach again. So a deload and then a devolume. Yeah. So it's 8 weeks. I think it's 8 weeks.
Yeah, 8 weeks. But
so your weight is it's high 210s, isn't it? Like,
210s?
Like high 210s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's actually gone up again, to be fair, now that
Mate,
what?
Did you cheat in your diet?
No, I didn't. I literally didn't. I just had that off-plan meal like yesterday, and I had an off-plan meal.
Off-plan meal, 5k calorie challenge.
Yeah.
Call it an off-plan meal.
I mean, to be honest, like 5k calorie challenge.
Oh yeah.
It's almost my training day macros, to be fair.
Wait, what's the weight now? 220?
No, it's hovering around 218, 219. I think I saw 219.4 this week, but my weight fluctuates.
Our aim is to be around 224 before prep.
Sure.
We think we can hold this composition and just continue to build fullness and also just reverse the calories back up to as high as we can get them before prep. Yeah. Therefore, we'll have a lot of room to play with and tools to play with during prep. So we'll try and push you, although we're finding that you're pretty much struggling to gain weight, aren't you? So we're upping, calories are already up to 4,350. Yeah, so that's 700 carb.
Yeah.
So I imagine we'll get them up to around 800 before the start of prep. Hopefully non-training days up to around 600. And that will put us in a really good starting position for prep. Sure. And we're thinking that your stage weight for the first show is going to be around 190, because the first show's in physique.
190?
Yeah.
Didn't you say 180?
No, that's for bodybuilding. Can you remember you were 190 last time? You got lean, 86 kilos.
True, and we've slapped on.
You've 100% put on a lot of tissue since then, and your condition then was good enough for physique.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Your obliques weren't in, but but like you wouldn't for a qualifier where we're not trying to be 100%.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like you would have qualified with that physique.
Yeah, but having said that,
we think we're not going to pay too much attention to the weight, but as long as we don't have too much to pull off in the first. So it's 22 weeks from the start of prep to the UKDFPA Northern for you. So we're looking at around 30 to 35 pounds in that time. And for Laurence's body weight, that is a pretty slow rate of loss.
Yeah.
If you think about
and
as a percentage.
Yeah, and also for like the rate that I do lose. Like
so I imagine we can keep food pretty high throughout prep because we see that Laurence is very adaptive on the way up. Like when you're building calories up, he'll adapt to that very quickly and his energy expenditure will increase to the point where it's not a surplus anymore. But then on the way down, he doesn't adapt. It's like, it's the most lucky genetics I've ever seen. Like, he's very adaptive on the way up, very non-adaptive on the way down. So he can lose weight on a very high amount of calories and he can push food really high in the off season. So
what can I say?
I'm the opposite. I'm not adaptive on the way up and really adaptive on the way down. So I don't get to push my food high and I have to drop my food really low to lose weight.
Matey.
It is what it is.
We can swap genetics if you want. I don't mind.
No, I like digging, mate. Yeah. I'm #digging.
#digging.
Actually, we'll go on to my update now because I've actually made quite... Did I just speak about this last week? When did I make the food change? I think I did make the food change last week, but we weren't seeing much weight loss until this week.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I think I spoke about it last week, but I had a pretty big food drop. So I was down to 300 carb on training days and 200 on non-training days to really try and initiate some weight loss over this next 6 weeks. So am I 19 weeks out tomorrow or 18 weeks out? That's bad that I don't know. I think it's 18
don't
tomorrow.
Ask me.
Mate, come on.
Not a clue.
So my weight has been dropping a lot, but we found out the reason why my weight's been dropping a lot a couple of days ago, because I actually have been eating 100 calories less per day for like 6 days, and that's why my weight's been dropping more than I thought it would be. So I've basically been missing out on a square of dark chocolate in my last meal because I just completely forgot. And I'm on a meal plan, so I don't like track my calories every day. So yeah, it was a bit stupid of me, but we're back to normal now.
You were really stressing about it, weren't you?
Yeah, it was stupid, but...
Ryan was sitting on the sofa going, I'm a fucking moron. I'm an idiot. Yeah, but...
My weight was literally coming down like a pound a day. I was like, what's going on? And then I was like, I better check my meal plan. And then I checked my meal plan, I was like, oh, shit. That's why I'm dropping so much weight.
Sure.
Even that small amount of calories difference is going to make a big difference in terms of... Because I'm not on much food anyway, 100 calories is quite a bit.
You managed it well though, because you could have easily had an outburst about it and like, tried to make up for it. And...
I overthought it for a bit, but then I was like, no, just get back to normal calories, ignore it. Yeah. So my weight, the lowest it hit was 158, and that was a very flat 158. Like I was looking flatter than I have in a long time, but then it's come back up to around 160 now. So we're dropping it around 1.5 pounds per week at the moment, which is a good rate of loss. I'm going to reassess at around 154, so that will be around 14 weeks out, and that should be a pretty good point to start adding in double day refeed. So it's quite a nice tactic or method that I like to employ during long-term diets because so much diet fatigue builds up. Don't do it.
Sorry.
So much diet fatigue builds up throughout the diet. I quite like implementing these dual day refeeds just to really help maximize training performance throughout the whole diet and try and maintain as much strength and muscle mass throughout the diet. So that can also help a lot with maintaining your metabolic rate as well. So those dual day refeeds, which will probably be on a Friday and a Saturday for me, that will really help me really boost my metabolic rate and reduce some diet fatigue and therefore increase energy expenditure throughout the start of the next week. And hopefully that will keep weight loss going pretty linearly. So I'll look to slow down weight loss at around, I think I'll be lean at 154. I say lean, I mean the leanest I've ever been in my life. That's what I class as lean. So the lean, I think it was 138 last diet. So in the low 150s, I'm pretty sure I'll be back at that condition. It's hard to say because I've got more muscle now.
It's crazy how your perception of like lean changes when you're like a bit younger and starting to get into lifting.
I felt bigger then than I do now.
Really?
Like I was happy with my physique then.
Yeah.
Your perspective just changes, doesn't it?
Completely, yeah.
People you look up to. So.
Yeah, but in terms of like body composition, I found that like your perspective of what's actually lean completely changes and warps. So for example, the first cut that I did, looking back, I was like, oh my God, I've got abs. And
you realise you have abs at like ridiculously high body fat.
Yeah. I was like, I've got abs, and I was like, yeah, but like looking back, I was like, oh my God, I'm probably around the same body composition like now.
Look at the camera.
What?
Your quads look fucking huge.
Do they?
You're squashing them against the. You're doing it on purpose, aren't you?
No.
These aren't men's physique quads. Lawrence takes time off the gym and his quads get bigger. He hasn't trained legs in 2 weeks and they've remained full the whole time.
I'm not trying to make them look bigger, I promise.
One day I will wear shorts on this podcast. Maybe when my legs have got veins in, I'll start wearing shorts.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. In prep, when you're like super lean and you've got like veins down your adductor and that, it's be class. But then we'll also feel like absolute garbage and we'll be like, why were we looking forward to this?
It's just this period that I've been in from 26 weeks out to now. I've been a lot flatter and I'm still not lean yet. So the physique just doesn't look good. I looked quite good yesterday in posing.
I thought you looked really good. I think now you're starting to reveal like the muscularity that you built in the gaining phase. I personally think you're looking better and better, to be completely honest. Yeah, you're looking I don't even think you're looking like ridiculously fat. I do think you're flat, but not like flat as in like flat enough to make you look really bad. Like, I thought you looked quite good yesterday, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
With a pump, especially.
Without a pump, it's awful.
Yeah.
I've just stopped posing completely, not in the gym, just so it doesn't mess with my head. So what I used to do, I've got programmed for myself 4 rounds of posing a day, so 2 bodybuilding, 2 men's physique. I was doing 1 in the morning when I woke up, and 1 in the evening after the gym. But now, because just basically to help with my psychology, I'm not posing in the morning just because I look so bad. So I'm just doing 4 rounds after every workout basically in the posing room. I think that gives me a better representation of how I'm going to look on stage anyway, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm an R when you said like, oh, let's get like a black sheet and do like check-ins flat. Because I just much prefer, obviously I prefer the look when I've got a pump and like it's like post-session. Like obviously I'm going to prefer that, but yeah, I don't know.
It is good to get looks, basically analyse your physique in different lighting and different situations.
How come people recommend getting like say unpumped check-in shots? I've always wondered this because a lot of people get like fasted check-in shots and I'm like, but you look your worst. Sure.
Yeah, but it just gives you a different eye of your physique. So it gives you a different eye on how your condition is, how your muscularity is.
Right. Yeah.
And also you can like understand where you look best in the day and if you look better fasted, if you look better with more water and fuller, etc. So it just gives you more information basically. That's all it is.
I think I 100% look better with like fuller.
It's a difficult one for me because I look better. So my midsection gets worse as I go up throughout the day. Like I pose in the morning in my mirror in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And my midsection is tiny. Like my waist is literally tiny in the morning. And the more food I eat throughout the day, the worse my midsection looks. But then I also get fuller throughout the day. So it's a difficult one. I actually thought of a method that could be used for peaking. Well, not for peaking on show day, but it has some drawbacks. I was thinking, I'll let this secret out to the world. A little eureka moment I had.
This isn't a secret. AJ did this years and years ago. I was listening.
No, but he didn't say what it is. He didn't say the cyclic dextrin protocol was that.
Oh yeah, true.
He said that he uses it pre-stage, so I'm guessing that he just uses it during pumping up.
Yeah, possibly.
But yeah, I was thinking, on show day, if you digest cyclic dextrin or a carb powder really well, to keep your midsection tight but also remain full, it might be a good idea just to have several intra-workouts throughout the day. So like 3 meals of cyclic dextrin and EAAs and potentially get some fat from somewhere as well, just so your food volume in your stomach is lower. Therefore, your midsection stays tight, but you're remaining full because you're still giving yourself the carbohydrates.
Sure.
This is becoming a very bodybuilding-centric podcast now, isn't it?
It is, yeah, 100%.
But yeah, that's just an idea I had. I probably won't do it just because I'm not sure that amount of cyclic dextrin in the same day will be good from a digestion standpoint. I'll probably just stick to chicken and rice because that digests so well with me.
On show day, I'm probably just going to smash cream of rice.
Does cream of rice digest more than rice?
You are?
Does cream of rice digest better than rice for you?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It goes down like a treat. Or what else digests?
You could just do cream of rice, chicken, and dark chocolate. That would be like.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do. I think that would be an absolute dream. Honestly, it digests so well for me.
Yeah.
Nothing like super fibrous. Like I'll leave the berries out and the banana.
You don't need berries.
No. cream of rice, dark chocolate, chicken. I think that'd be perfect.
Optimal show day routine.
It's a bit surreal, you know. It's actually I wrote on my MBW log, like, it's crazy how when I started with you competing, or like when I chose to compete, it seemed like so long away. It genuinely seemed like
it was like a year and a half when we started.
And now
set the plans in place.
And now, and
it's coming around quick.
I know. And then it's 6 weeks away from prep. I think I'm probably going to get a bit emotional at the end of prep, you know. Obviously, I'm not like preempting it. I might not. But like, we've been on a journey.
Break down if you win, break down, fall to your knees. Who's that for?
No, I just go, sir. You know how like on the like how you get presented your trophy and you have to pull like your favourite physique pose. I'm just gonna pull the most muscular.
Yeah, you have to. You've already won. You've already won.
Yeah, exactly. They can't take the trophy away from you.
I'm gonna do a front lat spread, 100%. You have to do your best shot. I'm not doing a physique shot because physique shots aren't my best shots.
You have to do a physique shot. You see every men's physique competitor, if they win,
I'm pulling a front lat spread. I'm pulling a front lat spread, or I'm doing most muscular.
Yeah, but a front... It's going to look so stupid in your board shorts.
Yeah,
but to be fair, you've already won. So, like, what can they do?
I don't know why we're discussing this for me.
Oh, you never know.
When I get 4th place, just standing at the side of the 3 winners, they're all pulling physique shots and they've all got medals, and I'm there in 4th.
Do it. Come on, do it. Bring some entertainment to natural bodybuilding.
I think I actually would probably.
What do you think of, like, you know, in the Mr. Olympia when they do like press conferences, like it's a UFC bout. Like, what do you? And you can tell that they're trying to like basically bring attention and like eyes to the sport.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about it?
I like it. I think
Really.
The more entertaining you can make it, the more fans are going to get involved in the sport. But it does seem a little bit forced sometimes.
It's a bit like WWE.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, I suppose they're just trying to bring eyes to the sport. Like,
we need to do it for natural bodybuilding. Me and Laurence are determined to make natural bodybuilding as big as bodybuilding. We're going to get USADA involved. Proper drug testing. We're going to build it up. So
hang on, mate. You haven't let me know about this plan.
Yeah, we are. We're going to build it up.
Should we create our own federation?
No, mate. Oh. We're Team AJ.
Team AJ. Okay. Yeah.
MBW. Sorry. MBW all the way. MBW athletes 2025. That's the goal.
Speak it into existence.
Yeah. But to be fair, going back to the show day thing, I think I probably will get emotional if I win. If I win.
Sure.
Just because I feel like I've had a lot of doubters or people not thinking I'm going to do very well.
Yeah.
But if I did actually do well, I think the hard work all paid off at once.
Yeah.
I probably would get quite emotional, even though it doesn't mean anything to win a qualifier. Like, no one cares, but proving myself right and proving that hard work can pay off.
It doesn't matter if anyone else cares. It's what it means to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if I won, I think I'd probably get emotional because we did what we set out to do. Yeah. Like that whole pretty much almost 2 year journey. 2 year? No.
It will be by that time.
Yeah.
Around year and a half,
like,
2 years.
Year and a half, 2 year journey. Like, it all paid off, and we basically
executed the plan.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool. To be fair, right? We'll clip this and then we'll put it.
We got the first message I sent you as well.
Yeah. That would be so good. Yeah, that'd be a good reel.
To be fair, our first conversation on Instagram's a bit embarrassing.
We don't need.
I was basically sucking off his physique. He was basically sucking off my knowledge, and they were like, "Let's just train together.
Let's train together. All right, you can coach me. All right, let's move in together."
Move so quick.
I know.
Look at us now. Look at us.
God.
All right. We said we weren't going to ramble, but we've already rambled a lot. I don't know how far in we are on this podcast.
Waffle Central.
We'll get started with the questions.
Are you going to go first?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
So I got a question from Smurfy.
Smurfy?
Might be a little bit of a nickname there. Smurfy.
Who's Smurfy?
You tell me, mate. Oh. We're getting fans worldwide now. Smurfy says, "How long did it take you to cut, bro?" So this might be off TikTok. This might be a guy off TikTok. Must be.
Oh yeah, possibly.
Because if he thinks that I'll finish the cut, he doesn't know that I'm on prep. So overall, I did a mini cut, which was like a pre-prep diet. I think that was 8 weeks earlier on in the year. That brought me from 186 to like mid 160s. And then I am 10 weeks into prep. So I've been dieting for 10 weeks and I've gone from 170 to 158 as my lowest weigh in. So yeah, 10 weeks in, 18 weeks left. Yeah, there's your answer. So I keep going?
Yeah, go for it. Oh no, it's fine. I've got it.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Alex has asked the importance of prehab robustness because you're always injured.
You can't answer this one.
No, I literally can't. Well, neither can you. Mate, neither of us do any prehab /
I literally do prehab.
What kind of prehab?
Before every session.
Yeah, so do I. What are you counting as prehab?
The stuff I do before legs and pull is prehab. What's prehab? Is prehab like
preparation work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but what do you do for?
I'll do my glute bridges, my adductor, abductor, hip flexion.
Do you do all that?
Yeah. Before every single pull and every single leg session, I do that.
I might join you on that.
Yeah. It really helps. I do it for my coccyx injury.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to be fair, I used to do a little bit of prehab work before going into my RDL movement. So I used to do like a hamstring curl, glute bridge. To be fair, before pretty much every session, I do some like, if you can count this as prehab, I did some like ab work.
Yeah.
Just because like when I feel my abs like stimulated, I feel like I can brace more effectively. Yeah. So I do a lot of ab work before like just going into my session. He's asked the importance of prehab, and to be honest, I would literally just say preparation for the session, getting yourself ready. You know, prevention of injury.
Minimise the risk of injury.
Yeah.
Maximise performance. So
yeah, exactly.
Getting muscle units firing.
Sure, and it's just
getting blood around the working muscles. So actually, I'll provide some value here on what I do for each session.
Real time.
No, this isn't going to be real, I don't think. So before push, we'll call it preparation work because I don't know the actual definition of prehab, whether this counts as prehab, but before push, I do some work around my scapula because your scapula plays an important role within stability during pushing movements. So I basically do some very slow upper back rows, really focusing on scapular retraction, and that helps me get some blood around my scapula and therefore helps me lock it in more in my pushing movements.
Well, we basically just do a shrug, not a shrug, but basically just
scapular retraction.
Yeah, scapular protraction and retraction.
Yeah, so
it's not a full row though, is it? But
I do a full row.
I tend to go into a full row.
Yeah, so I do 2 sets on the upper back row before push, and then we do a shoulder complex. So basically just with dumbbells, doing a load of movements to warm up your rotator cuffs, which again play a big role during pushing movements.
Did you say shoulder complex?
Yeah, or dumbbell complex.
What do you mean by complex?
Like several movements in a row. It's called a dumbbell complex.
Why are you over?
What do you want to call it then?
Like just a dumbbell blood flow warm up?
So more words.
Yeah, but I do a dumbbell complex before my push session.
Just because you don't know what that is, mate. Just say you don't understand.
Carry on. Don't hit me with that.
I do a load of movements to warm up my whole upper body with dumbbells. So lateral raises, dumbbell curls, tricep kickbacks. What else? Some external rotation with dumbbells. And that just helps me get my full upper body warm.
Before, I was going to say, sorry to interrupt you, but before I do like a pull session, I tend to do a lot of like shoulder work just to get my shoulder joint warm.
Yeah.
Just because on a pull session, I'm going to be like protracting and retracting, which involves a lot of shoulder movement. So just making sure that that's warm and firing.
I also go on the dip machine and do some scapular elevation, scapular depression to help warm up the traps as well.
Sure.
And then I just do a lot of warm-up sets on my first working movement to really... Actually, I do a lot of warm-up sets on all my working movements because the more warm-up sets you can do, the better you can get that movement pattern nailed, and therefore the more effectively you can perform in your working set. So that's my prehab work for push. Pull's pretty similar, just the same with the dumbbell complex. And then legs is a bit more complicated because I have an ongoing coccyx injury. So I do quite a lot of work with the muscles around my coccyx. So whether that be hamstrings, glutes, hip flexors, abductors, etc. I do a lot of work on that. So I do glute bridges, I do hip flexion, so like just knee raises basically. I use the ab coaster for that. Also to warm up my core. As Laurence said, warming up your abs before you train, or just engaging your abs before any session, is very important because your abs are going to play a big role in bracing. So before every session, we pretty much do a little bit of ab work to really engage our core and therefore create a more effective brace during our working sets. So yeah, I do abductors, glute bridges, adductors, hamstrings, hip flexors, all before my leg session and pull session, just to minimize the risk of that injury playing up. It also helps quite a lot with my lower back in terms of warming up the muscles around my lower back so they're not pulling on that area.
Alex is going to tell us that we're wrong.
Yeah, probably, mate. But I don't care, mate.
No, neither do I. Neither do I.
We do what we want.
They have something called a flow that they do before their sessions. All the S&C boys.
I guess it's
like
pretty different to what we're training though. Like the training.
Yeah. I guess there's probably crossovers, but to be honest, as long as you just do a warm up, I'm sure that's enough to prevent injury.
And we do a 5-minute walk every single session.
Yeah, that
without fail.
So much. It's not like we already walk to the gym.
We don't walk to the gym anymore. We walk to the gym for a few days.
Yeah, I suppose, but it's not like we basically do a 5-minute walk anyway.
Yeah. Is that the whole question?
Yep.
Okay, I'll get another one.
Shoot, go for it. Let's try and do quick fire.
Naeem says, how's your plantar fasciitis? Do you know what plantar fasciitis is?
No.
It's like some issue with the soles of your feet. I've had it for ages, which is annoying because my calves are a really weak body part and I get really painful soles during my calf movements, which they cramp up and therefore I can't perform my calf exercises to failure sometimes, but it's doing a lot better, thanks, Naeem.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
Are we doing alternate? Speak of the devil, Naeem has asked, do you have to write out the subtitles for your reels manually? Yes and no is the answer to that. It's really frustrating. So basically, there's like a captions button on the reels, and you press that and Instagram will try and figure out what you're trying to say, but the majority of the time that doesn't work, and you do have to correct a few things. So you don't have to fully write it out.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, these are quick fire today.
Yeah, no waffling.
Naeem says, how would you prep for a night out to try and stay on track with fitness goals?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'll do this one.
Yeah, go for it.
I've spoken to Naeem about this before, to be fair.
Yeah.
So the main thing is just planning ahead. So the more you can plan ahead, the more you can therefore stay on track and hopefully not affect your momentum with training or nutrition. So you've got to think of it from both perspectives. So firstly, from training, you're probably going to want to have a rest day the day after, because training while hungover is not going to be effective. Your recovery capacity is going to be a lot lower. Even though me and Laurence used to think that training hungover, well, when we were in uni, we used to think, oh, training hungover, we feel so much stronger, but it was definitely just placebo.
Well, it was because that we weren't very good at training.
Yeah, exactly. So making sure you've got a rest day the day after.
Imagine if we tried to train now.
Hungover, no chance.
No.
Imagine how drunk we'd get after a few beers.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah, so alcohol is going to decrease muscle protein synthesis or blunt muscle protein synthesis. So therefore, your recovery capacity is going to be lower. You probably want to train with a bit lower volume on the day you're going to drink, because therefore you're not going to be able to recover from it on the night. From a nutrition perspective, I usually go with a lower fat approach on days which I'm going to drink. So the reason for this is alcohol actually limits the amount you can burn fat. So going for a lower fat approach makes a little bit more sense, and therefore you can have more carbs around your workout that day anyway. So trying to understand how many calories you're going to be having through alcohol. Usually I'd leave between 1,000 and 1,500 depending on how much you're going to drink and any food you can have on the night as well. Try and keep most of your meals as protein servings, or maybe protein and carb servings, trying to minimize fat in that window before you drink. Choosing alcoholic drinks which are going to be lower in calories, so usually going with a spirit with a diet option as well. Nice. Even though it might be not too good on the head, it's going to be better from staying on track with nutrition perspectives.
You might be absolutely battered, but
Yeah,
less calories.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And
know,
then
you might be stone cold out by 10, but doesn't matter.
And then also hydration. So before you drink, making sure you're fully hydrated. I used to take electrolytes before I drank, making sure I was drinking a lot of water before as well. Potentially even drinking water throughout the night. It's not going to make you less drunk or anything. That's what people worry about. It's basically just going to keep your hydration status a little bit more optimal, whatever. And then also making sure you're staying hydrated the full day after as well. And that's going to allow you to go back to training a couple of days after in a good state to train, where you're not fully dehydrated and therefore can't perform muscle contractions effectively. So hydration, planning ahead in terms of nutrition, staying on calories, and planning training around it as well. So maybe lowering volume on the day you're going to drink.
Ooh.
Oh, shut up, mate. And then
I'm just getting you back for the time that you got me.
And then not training the day after you drink. Anything to add there? Probably forgotten a couple of stuff.
No, I think that's really good. Obviously, like, eat before you drink as well, but I think that's just a general advice, just to make sure
you don't need to get smashed. Like, I'm not very good for this because I can't control my drink when I do drink. I don't drink very often, but when I do, I can't control it.
Yeah.
But you don't need to get smashed to have a good time.
I used to get smashed for the sake of getting smashed.
Yeah.
I used to do it as like
drown away the sorrows.
What's that meant to mean? Nah, I used to get drunk for the sake of it, basically. Like I just used to drink because everyone else used to get pissed, and also for like a bit of social confidence. I feel like alcohol does take the edge off when you're having a chat with someone, but realistically, I think that just blunted my ability to socialise when I was sober. You know,
Yeah.
it was a bit of an escape from
Liquid courage.
Yeah, essentially. But to be honest, I haven't drank in a whole year. I'm a year sober.
Yeah, I haven't drank since.
I've literally.
I can't remember.
I've not noticed a difference. It's kind of mad. I like, as in terms of my, like eagerness to like go out and socialise. Like it's exactly the same.
I think doing it less often makes the night out actually better as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
100%.
if you're going out every weekend.
When I was at uni and I was getting
boring.
Yeah.
I feel like people do that to make up for the lack of fun or joy they have in the general life. As big as that might sound.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's 100% true.
It's quite sad, actually.
Yeah. It's because people lack a bit of a purpose in their actual life, so they seek, I don't know, like enjoyment from getting smashed. And yeah, I mean, it's also like pretty heavily integrated within this like country's culture.
It is.
Like if you don't drink, especially amongst like say like a uni crowd, or
you're
say like
out.
you're deemed as like, I don't know, like a pussy, or like, you know, someone who, I don't know, isn't fun. You know, a term that used to get thrown around a lot is like, oh, you're boring. Exactly. It's like, oh, it's just shut up. I used to get that a lot. Oh, don't be boring. It's like you're literally boring for going out every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I used to do it.
But in uni.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of mad.
But yeah, you don't need to get smashed to have a good time.
Should we just get waved? Should we get waved on the podders right now?
I'm literally on prep.
Should we get absolutely bladdered? Mate, you've just provided a load of value about how you can work around physique development with
if you're on prep,
alcohol.
Don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, let's go on the lash. Let's go on the lash with the boys.
Imagine my first drink back when I'm lean. And
mate, imagine my first drink back. I'd be bladdered.
I'm gonna be about 120 pounds.
I would be so fucked.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't know where the line is, because to be fair to me, I used to have a relatively decent tolerance because I'm quite big. It got better as I got older.
Not big. Next question, come on.
I'm 220 pounds, mate. That's considered as relatively big. Right, okay. Harrison has asked me a string of questions.
Oh, there we go.
How many IU of insulin are you taking? How many mg of tests are you on? How many mg of tren are you on? Why don't you believe in coming off cycle / health phases? And then he's put, sorry mate, serious question. How's having a mate as a coach?
You wouldn't know. We're not mates.
No, I literally think you're mid. I think you're a mid guy. Yeah, I don't like you at all, in the slightest. I'm joking, mate.
That's literally what I told my family. I'm not enjoying living with him.
Can we stop?
Go on, answer the real one.
Okay, all right. Well,
for the first ones,
all of them.
The reason Laurence doesn't come off cycle is because he wants to win the British Champs next year, so there's no health phases at all.
None. Literally none.
1,000 grams of tren. Grams of tren, not milligrams. a kilogram of tren a week.
Wow. Oh, Christ.
Go on, answer that question then.
Okay. Yeah, so how's having a mate as a coach? If I'm going to be completely honest, you are?
Oh no.
No. It's positive. It's good. I think the initial stages of coaching when we didn't live together.
Yeah.
I actually think that the coaching relationship was like, I think a lot more. What's the right word? And I'm trying not to be like sound like a dickhead here. Like professional, I don't know. Like it was more of a professional relationship.
Wait, I'm not a track P ad.
No, whoa. No. As in like we've developed our friendship a lot since living together, and I think that may have taken away from the professionalism. But that's not to say that it's a bad thing. I still think you're an excellent coach, and I'm gonna stick with you for the foreseeable future.
Forever.
Yeah, forever, man.
You're never allowed to leave me.
No. We've got a contract.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't see myself like leaving you. To be honest, yeah. I don't see any other coach who can provide more value than you. The thing is, though, as well, I've also got more competent with making decisions, like especially around training, which has then led to you having, less input when it comes to...
Yeah, you'll make a decision and I'll be like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
you just check it with me.
Yeah, around like...
the other day when you kind of take out the prime upper back pull down for...
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
Sure. But to be fair, you still make the bulk of decisions.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I don't know. Maybe for some people it might not be the best idea, because I think having a close relationship with someone may take away from the professionalism, and then also how seriously you take your coach.
Yeah, if you actually listen to them.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, like a couple of months ago, I wasn't being particularly adherent, and Ryan said to me, he said
called you out on it.
Yeah, and I think when you're mates, you can blur the line between this is my coach telling me what to do and I need to just suck it up and do it, and
your friend telling you off. Basically.
Yeah, why is my mate having a go at me? I think we've sorted that out now, and I think I'm a lot more adherent because of what we went through, but I think it was difficult to understand at the time. I was a bit what, with...
Communication is key, really key.
Definitely.
I think there's a lot more benefits to having, well, it's not even having a mate as a coach, but the fact that I live with Laurence, I literally know his body so well now. Oh, that sounds so sus. But literally,
mad sus, man.
I can tell when you're full, I can tell when you're flat, I can tell when you're not getting a pump.
Sure.
I can tell how your body's reacting to certain things. Because I see him so much, we get so many in-person check-ins, post-workout.
Sure.
It's a very effective coach-client relationship, let's say.
Absolutely, yeah. By what I just said, I wasn't taking away from our coach-client relationship. I really enjoy it, and I think it's fantastic. And I mean, look how much progress we've made since starting that process. So yeah, 100%. You also how adaptive my metabolism is. You know exactly what to do now when it comes to reversing out. Say just instead of, what am I saying? You know exactly what to do when it comes to reversing.
Yeah, we've learned a lot about your body and how it reacts to certain phases.
Sure. And you might not have...
That's something to note. Don't swap your coach all the time. If you swap your coach all the time, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You should stay with the coach for as long as possible. Unless they're a bad coach,
you
should stay with them for as long as possible, because the more information they can gain on your body and how your body works and how you react to training, how you react to certain methods within nutrition, the more effective the coaching is going to become over time. So stick with your coach for the long term.
Absolutely.
And trust your coach.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, that's another thing. I think because again, we've developed a much closer relationship since moving in with each other. I think maybe the decisions that you've made, I've taken them less seriously because like I'm thinking like, oh, this is more my mate instead of more my coach. But again, like I think it's taken a bit of time to further
it's
understand.
working really well now.
Yeah, 100%.
Just takes a bit of trial and error, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
We still like do completely normal check-ins. So Laurence will check in with me as normal as he would with a normal coach.
Sure.
Like he'll send over his shots, send over a loom video on a Saturday.
I think that really helps to maintain the professionalism.
The only difference is we don't really do form feedback anymore because I'm seeing your sets in person.
Yeah.
So it would be a bit pointless.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much the exact same as any other coaching relationship as well.
And because my execution is just perfect.
Your execution is pretty good, to be fair. Right. So Jack asks, how often should you change your training plan? So if we're talking about for optimal muscle growth or optimal hypertrophy, you want to change your plan as little as you possibly can. The reason for this is, over time, you'll become more skilled at movement patterns. You'll basically build up a better neurological connection to those movement patterns, and therefore you'll be able to perform them more effectively and take them closer to true failure. So the longer you can keep movements in and the longer you can keep your same training program in, the better in terms of muscle growth, because you'll be able to take sets closer to true failure and therefore progress. The progression that you are seeing will be more due to increases in muscle mass than it will be due to increases in skill. So as long as you possibly can, basically.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of people have a tendency to swap out movements because they really enjoy that quick fix of like that progression. You know, they almost get married to the idea of like progressing really quickly, whereas, you know, that's ultimately not what bodybuilding is about. You know, the longer that you can keep a movement in and keep progressing, whilst those progressions may get smaller and smaller as you have more and more.
Those are the real progressions.
Those are the progressions that are going to result in the most tissue added. To be honest, I think I've been quite.
We both have.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, it's very easy to swap something out because also I think when there's more load on the bar as opposed to before, I think your ability to connect and feel something gets a lot worse, even though that probably isn't going to result in less tissue. If something feels worse, you're more likely to switch it out. So
yeah.
You know,
I also think something to note here is that when you see a movement stall, you don't have to swap out the movement. You can just adjust the movement to therefore keep it in your plan. Because you've already built up that skill, I'd rather you keep it in your plan but adjust it in terms of tempo, rep range, etc. And that will allow you to keep the skill there and keep performing that movement that you're good at, rather than swap out to a completely different movement. For example, you could add a pause in the lengthened, a pause in the shortened, change the rep range from a 6 to 10 to 12 to 15, etc. These small changes will allow you to create a new runway for progression, but without losing that skill factor that you've built up over time.
You could potentially change the resistance profile. So
add a band.
Add a band, or say like on a prime machine, load it in, say the lengthens as opposed
That's
to
what we did for you,
shortens.
isn't it? So
for the prime incline, yeah. Although
the prime row. The prime row we went from.
Oh yeah.
It might have been a less optimal profile that we went to.
Sure.
But it created a massive runway for progression again. Didn't it?
Sure. Although to be fair, I think that was more due to where we were placing it in the session. If correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, because you used to do it after a hinge, didn't you? So, yeah.
Sure.
True. You got any more?
Yes, I do.
That was a good question, Jack.
It was.
I like that one.
Who's Jack?
My mate from uni.
Oh, nice.
No, he's not a mate from uni. He's just a random fan that followed the podcast.
Nice. Yeah. We're accumulating.
Hope you're doing well, Jack. Hope you're doing well.
Good lads. Keep them coming. So Alfie, my good friend Alfie from uni. I'm joking. Another fan.
Nice.
Yeah. No, Alfie is a really good mate. Does power building work well, or is it better to focus on either one? Okay, so
you can go for this one because you are the power lifter of the group.
I'm not a power lifter. What do you mean?
Looks like one.
Are you joking? Are you calling me fat?
Massive waist.
Mate, stop.
Massive joints.
Literally stop. I cannot barbell squat.
1 rep max is 3 plates on a deadlift.
That's not true.
You did that before.
I did do that. I literally did was it not even 2? Was it 1
It was a 1 rep max.
Christ, that is embarrassing. Okay.
Go on, you take this one.
Yeah. So to answer your question, firstly, I think a better question is like, can power building work well? And the answer is yes, it can work well. With a power building approach, let's assume that you're doing the big three, so the squat, bench, deadlift. You're going to be like moving a lot of load, and that's going to result in a lot of mechanical tension, and then you're looking to get the volume and say like the bodybuilding from the isolations. I would say that just a bodybuilding approach would work better. I think the issue with like using the big three is that not everyone gets on with like a deadlift and a squat, especially. I'd say the bench is probably the one that everyone can probably get on with the most. But for a squat, for example, I really don't get on with a barbell squat, especially a quad focused barbell squat. And to be honest, I think I could probably run a deadlift.
Yeah.
Maybe if I tried. But again, I feel like people could fare better with like another hinge variation, such as like a SLDL block pull or an RDL. And then another thing about powerlifting, I'd say, is that with powerlifting, your focus is literally just to move the load from A to B. You're not actually focusing on the intent behind how you're moving the load.
Yeah.
So in terms of like a stimulus perspective, I think again a bodybuilding approach would probably work better. But I definitely think a power building approach would work. And if we're talking about like say like I don't know what is optimal and not optimal. Thing is like yes, technically a bodybuilding approach would be optimal, but then if you enjoy like the main lifts like the deadlift, the squat and the bench, and you really enjoy going for like low rep sets, so for like a power lift, like a power building, so like a bodybuilding powerlifting hybrid, you probably look to do the main big lifts in like a lower rep, like a, I hate saying this, like a strength rep range, even though you can build muscle across any rep range. I've completely lost my train of thought.
Yeah, so I think if you want to maximise your progress in either powerlifting or bodybuilding, you should stick to one. But if you're just doing it casually and want to just enjoy your training and you haven't got any massive goals and you don't want to 100% maximise things, then it's absolutely fine. I think even doing those low rep sets on the powerlifting lifts can actually be really effective in carrying over, or the crossover strength to your other lifts can be really improved by doing those low rep sets. So even though they might not have a direct impact on hypertrophy in terms of they're not providing that much stimulus for growth, the carryover that it would have to your strength and other movements, which might have a more hypertrophic benefit, is going to be high. So I think that you can definitely do it. If you enjoy those three lifts, you can definitely implement them. I'd probably say that training to failure on those three lifts over a higher volume, as you probably need to do in powerlifting because you want to build up the skill on those movements, wouldn't be effective because training to failure at a high volume is going to drive a lot of fatigue, and therefore you're probably not going to progress over the long term. But you could definitely use like an RIR approach across the powerlifting lifts, slowly accumulate volume across a mesocycle, and then go to a more failure approach in the more lower fatiguing movements, which provide more stimulus and therefore more hypertrophic benefit. And yeah, I think it's definitely possible. If you're not trying to optimize either one, then you could definitely do both. There's no issue with that at all.
Sure. Sorry, I remember what I was going to say.
Go on.
Say if you enjoy, like, say it may not be optimal, but say you enjoy like the hybrid like power building approach, then do that, because we hammer away at this, but it's so true. More enjoyment is always going to lead to more adherence. So if you enjoy that, as opposed to like sticking to one or the other, do it. 100% do it. Especially like Ryan mentioned, if you're not looking to like take either one seriously, give it a go. 100%.
Okay, Jack asked another question here. So, rest pause sets versus drop sets for more effective reps. Any preferences? So we'll preface this with what each one of these are. So a rest pause set is where you take a set to failure, you take a 20-second rest, then you go to failure again. So that way you're basically reaching failure twice within a short amount of time. A drop set is where you take a set to failure, drop the weight by around 30%, and then take it to failure again. So again, it's the same thing in terms of accumulating those more effective reps close to failure. Personally, I prefer rest pause sets because on a drop set, while it's still effective at accumulating more effective reps, so effective reps are basically the reps that are very close to failure and therefore provide the most hypertrophic benefit. The reason why I prefer a rest pause set is because on a drop set, it really extends the set, and in terms of doing the movement for a long amount of time, you can often burn out due to a cardiovascular factor rather than your muscles actually failing. While on a rest pause set, you get that 20-second rest in between each set, which allows you to therefore recover from a cardiovascular standpoint and actually take each set to muscular failure rather than burning out cardiovascularly. But both of them are really effective. I'll potentially say drop sets are more effective in accumulating more metabolic damage, so accumulating more blood flow to the muscles, and therefore that is also a pathway of hypertrophy. So that is an effective way of doing that. And rest pause sets, I would say, are more effective in terms of actually failing from a muscular standpoint and therefore providing more mechanical tension. So yeah, they're both really effective ways of building muscle and accumulating more effective reps. And yeah, really good for hypertrophy. I like them both.
I think it's important to note that whilst they are effective methods, straight sets will always be superior. Like you can't fill a program with intensifiers and expect to grow. Do you know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I think
you can.
Oh no, you can't fill it. You can't fill a program.
Yeah,
but
that's what
I think they can be, especially on isolation movements. I think they can be more effective than straight sets because the intent in that set is going to be higher than if you say you're doing 3 sets of an isolation rather than double rest pause or a double drop set. The intent in that set is going to be higher in just one set, whether it be a rest pause or a drop set.
Yeah.
So I think it can be a very effective method, and also for people who are low on time, these methods are really, really useful in terms of accumulating more effective volume in a small amount of time, while not basically taking a lot of people do is rush their sets. So they do like 3 sets with like 60-second rest in between, which means that you can't really take each set to true failure. But on a rest pause set or a drop set, you can reach those 3 failure points in a very small amount of time while reaching true failure rather than resting for 60 seconds and trying to go again. So I think they're really good methods for people who are low on time.
Absolutely. I've got one more question, but I'd like to save it for the end because it's a funny one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So our parents don't listen.
No, it's not. It's not going to result in us getting cancelled. It's just funny.
Thank God, because we had to cut out quite a lot of the last podcast. Okay, I'll ask. I'll go for 2 more and then we'll wrap it up.
Sound.
Let me try and pick. I've got so many. All right, I'll leave 1 from each person that's asked. Yeah.
What? 1 from each person?
Yeah, so I've got like 5 different people who have asked. Oh, that's a lot of questions though.
Just do 2. Just do 2 more and pick your favourite, and then we'll save them for the next one.
Okay. I'll do a quick fire one from some people.
Okay.
Because there's some we can answer very quickly.
Yeah.
So Robbie asks, what's better, cardio before a gym session or after a gym session?
After.
Yeah, always after.
Yeah.
You want to prioritise whichever one you're focused on. Actually, if you want to focus on your cardio, then do it before.
Yeah.
But most people want to focus on their weight training and building muscle. So you want to put the most effort into that and use your energy stores on that. So do the cardio after your weight training.
This is our version of quickfire.
Yeah, so the cardio, you want to have the energy availability for the weight training. The cardio is basically just the method to burn more calories. You don't need lots of energy availability for the cardio.
This isn't quickfire. Come on.
How am I going to get a reel out of it if we do it quickfire?
That's true.
All right. Next, so do it after you're trying to build muscle. Wes asks, slow reps versus volume if both had good technique. I don't really understand this.
Slow reps versus volume. That's a weird one.
I don't get what he means.
No, I don't have a clue. Does he mean like slow? Oh God,
So I'm guessing you mean like fast high rep sets versus slow
low rep sets potentially. Yeah.
I think across the board you should be controlling your lifts if you're trying to get a hypertrophic benefit out of it, because the eccentric portion of your lift, you're going to be a lot stronger, and therefore you want to spend more time in that portion, and also being able to change that control that change of direction is very important. So having the control throughout the lift is extremely important.
Absolutely.
But I think one thing we can touch on here is the difference in tempos between high and low rep sets. So I think that on your lower rep sets, your tempo should be a lot more controlled throughout the set, because there's a high risk of injury basically. So you want to basically have more control throughout the set. And also, if you're doing a 5-repper, that time under tension, if you're doing it with quick reps, you can get that set done in 10 seconds. But I'd rather you control it throughout and have maybe a 30-second set, and therefore having that higher amount of time under tension. And then for a higher rep set, I actually prefer basically a faster tempo, because if you go with a really slow tempo over a 15-repper, that set could end up being 2-3 minutes. And are you really going to fail from a muscular standpoint if the set is that long? If the set is that long, you're more likely to burn out from a cardiovascular standpoint. So therefore, you're not reaching true muscular failure. So on a higher rep set, I actually prefer a bit of a faster tempo to therefore reach muscular failure, and a low rep set when it's a little bit more dangerous from an injury standpoint, I prefer a slower tempo and therefore controlling the movement throughout the whole set.
Absolutely. Great answer.
Yeah.
Nothing
Anything
to add?
to add?
Nothing.
So I'm not sure what you meant by that question, Wes, but if you do want to message me and try and explain it in a bit more detail, because we probably didn't answer that
Sorry, Wes.
very well, but it says that if both had good technique, you should be using control across the board.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say for that answer there.
Sure.
HL says, how are you going to make my chest grow? So one of my new clients, HL.
Big HL, big up.
The big friendly giant.
I know, 6'7".
Yeah,
he's a big boy. He barely fit through our kitchen doorway.
Yeah, we invite all our clients around the house.
Yeah, exactly. In-person check-ins.
Yeah,
obviously.
Naked. No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
What?
Right, HL. The way we are going to grow your chest is, firstly, assessing execution, which I've already done across your pushing movements. And your execution is very good across the board, so this isn't a problem. Secondly...
Nah, it's whack.
No, it's not, mate. Your execution is really good across the board. And I think the most effective way to bring something up, if you're already maximising execution and intensity, which you are across the board, is frequency. So I'd rather split your volume up across 3 different sessions in the week, and therefore that volume you're getting on each session is going to be more effective, and you're going to be applying more intent in those sets. So we're going to split your volume up across 3 sessions, as I've already spoke about in your check-in. And we're going to get the chest volume 3 times a week, therefore having more opportunities for growth. And hopefully, in a year's time, we'll be able to call your side arm a side chest. So yeah, that's how we're going to grow your chest, mate.
Big chesty HL.
We're going to also keep you in a surplus for as long as possible while doing that frequency. And in a year's time, 2 years' time, if we're consistent with it...
Well, he's too fat at the minute.
He is a bit fat.
Yeah.
Sorry, HR.
Really fat.
That's what
I sat next to him, I could feel the fat.
Does he just breathing really loudly?
Yeah. That's going to sound awful in the mics.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay.
How many more?
Oh, sorry.
Should we do one more of yours and then we'll finish off with mine?
Yeah, I'll ask one's from James, your mate.
Oh, big up, James.
And one from Argon. So, what are the best ways to improve mobility for back squats?
Oh,
do you want to take this? As you have the greatest mobility in the game.
I actually wouldn't know, because I've never had the mobility to be able to barbell back squat.
Yeah, but how would you?
Okay, so I think obviously the first thing that comes into play is your ankle mobility. So your ankle mobility is more often than not the limiting factor when it comes to how much knee flexion you can get on a squat. And then also your hip flex mobility, I would say. So literally just like ankle mobility stretches. You could do a bit of like prehab ankle mobility beforehand. Like
tibialis work as well.
Yeah, tibialis work, like going through a full range of motion on say like a calf raise. But then also, James is actually one of my new clients, and I mentioned this to him. Some people literally do not have the anatomy to be able to perform a barbell back squat. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be able to, say if I hammered it for, I don't know, an amount of time and I practice it, but realistically, sometimes, in my opinion, it's not, especially if your goal is hypertrophy, if you really struggle to, say like on a barbell squat, get the amount of knee flexion to recruit the amount of quad stimulus that you require to grow, and you kind of make it more of like a glute bias movement. Say, for example, in a barbell back squat, the amount of like hip flexion extension I'd have to go into to actually hit depth would be basically like completely taking my quads out of the movement. So maybe looking for alternatives is a better option if your anatomy literally doesn't allow you to like that is true. I'm not being like closed-minded or negative. I genuinely don't think some people are built for specific movements. But you look at some people and they do a barbell back squat and it looks effortless. They can just get depth. I mean, it's the same with like hack squatting. I think any squat pattern for that matter. I think people with longer femurs struggle more because the distance that they have to travel in a squat is further. The moment arm is bigger.
Nice.
Therefore, they require more
torque.
I was going to say that.
Sorry, mate,
I'm dropping knowledge.
I ruined your moment.
I know.
I think in terms of mobility, you can do all the stretching in the world to increase your range of motion at each joint. But the best thing to do would be to actually change the setup of the movement. So for example, on a barbell back squat, if your ankle mobility is the limiting factor, a heel wedge is going to bring you into slight plantar flexion at the ankle, and therefore you're going to be able to get more depth on the squat. You can do a lot of mobility work around your hip flexors, ankles, etc. But as Laurence said, you're probably going to be able to perform more effectively by doing a different movement.
I think you'd grow way more from like not being I wouldn't say stubborn, but like as in not like really trying to do something that you like don't fit into, basically, like that your body doesn't want to do, essentially.
But also just practicing the barbell back squat a lot and performing that movement under load can often help your ability to perform the movement. And don't try and force depth if it's not going to work for you. If you're getting lumbar rounding at the bottom of a squat, don't force depth. Stay in your active range of motion.
Sure.
Use setups such as maybe even reverse banding a squat or using a heel wedge, etc. These methods, or even just a safety bar squat, can help a lot. So trying different heights of the bar. So go for a high bar technique, a low bar technique, trying these different things to try and find a way which you can perform the movement the most effectively.
That's a really good point. Range of motion increases under load. So,
but then again, if your range of motion is increasing under load, is that your active range of motion, or are you being forced into a passive range?
True.
So yeah, it's a difficult one. I'd say preferably just do a movement that you get on with better. But if you don't want to do that, change the setup of the movement while also working on your mobility through stretches, etc.
Sure. Right.
Last question from Argon. Argon says, how to use a waist trainer to improve waist circumference, strap or corset?
Don't. Just don't. You can answer that one really quickly.
I think
no, seriously.
No, but the waist trainer is not going to make your waist smaller, but it will teach you how to control your abs.
Just practice vacuums.
No, I think a waist trainer actually can be useful.
Really?
Yeah. Having your waist tight at all times can really help you in terms of keeping your waist tight.
Okay.
Yeah, I think potentially, but it's definitely not something you want to look at as in like, I don't do it and I'm competing, you don't do it and you're competing.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of other things you can do in terms of training your core, training your abs before looking at a waist trainer. But I know people who do use them, but they're not using a waist trainer to shrink their waist. You're not going to shrink your waist. It's just going to teach you how to control your core better. And therefore, when you're posing in a competition, you're not going to be letting your gut hang or anything like that. You'll be tight at all times and therefore have the illusion of having a smaller waist at all times. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, but if you did want to use one, then I think it could potentially provide a very small amount of benefit in terms of controlling your abs and being able to control your abs.
Okay, right.
This is why you got a 40-inch waist, mate.
Oh yeah, because I don't use a waist trainer. Yeah.
You would literally have a 26-inch waist like me if you wore a waist trainer.
Yeah, you secretly use one, don't you? I know you do.
That's why my waist is so small.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So this is a funny one, and I'm not sure that we have the facilities for this. Kian has said, arm wrestle on the pod. Loser has to do a shot of vinegar.
I'm not doing an arm wrestle.
Why not?
I'm not risking doing an arm wrestle.
Why not? Did you lose?
I would lose, but also I'm not risking an injury. No way. I know this is boring. but I can't risk an injury. Mate, imagine if you fucking tore my rotator cuff. Or you snap my arm.
I wouldn't.
Slap. What did I do?
Oh, boo.
Sorry,
Right,
Ian.
you have to do a shot of vinegar then.
How many
I'm
calories?
on prep.
How many calories in a shot of vinegar?
Oh, God knows, but I don't even have a bottle of vinegar. Should we do it next week at the start? Like, we'll both do a shot of vinegar.
I'm so boring. I'm sorry, kid. I'm really sorry. Is that your mate, Ian?
It is, yeah. Oh well. It's fine, mate. It's
Laurence
okay.
would beat me in an arm wrestle, but I really don't want to risk it.
We could do a fake one.
Yeah, okay, go on then.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes!
Mate, you tore my rotator cuff.
Light work.
You tore my rotator cuff. Imagine if you'd actually injured me on that. Right, okay. As always, thank you very much for watching and getting your questions in. We had absolutely loads.
Wait, we'll finish everyone else's questions next week.
Yeah.
We won't put a question box out and we'll finish the rest of the questions next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you very much for supporting us. This is an awful outro. I'm bottling it. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week.